A Jewish orphan became queen of the greatest empire on earth and risked her life to stop the slaughter of her entire people. One woman, born for a single moment. This is the complete story of Esther. In the days of King Xerxes, who ruled 127 provinces from India to Kush, the Empire of Persia held a great feast in the palace of Susa, a display of splendor lasting many days. On the seventh day, the king summoned Queen Vashti to appear before his guests, but she refused to come. In his anger, the king removed her crown, and the throne of the queen stood empty. So a search went out across the empire for a new queen. Beautiful young women were gathered to the palace of Susa to be prepared for the day they would stand before the king. Among them was a young Jewish woman named Esther, an orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai. On his counsel, she told no one of her people or her family, and kept her heritage hidden. Esther found favor in the eyes of all who saw her. And when, at last, she stood before the king, he loved her above all the others. He set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen. In those days, Mordecai sat at the king's gate and overheard 2 guards plotting to kill the king. He warned Esther. The plot was uncovered, and his deed was written in the royal chronicles. Now the king raised a proud man named Haman above all his nobles, and commanded that all should bow before him. But Mordecai the Jew would not bow, and would not kneel. When Haman saw that one man would not bow, he was filled with fury. And learning that Mordecai was a Jew, he resolved not to strike one man, but to destroy every Jew in all the empire. Haman cast lots to choose the day, and came before the king with silver and a lie. So the king gave him his signet ring, and a decree was sealed. On one day, all Jews, young and old, were to be killed. The command went out to every province, and among the Jews there was great mourning, with fasting and weeping. Mordecai tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and cried out in the midst of the city. Mordecai sent word to Esther in the palace, "Go before the king and plead for your people." But she was afraid, for whoever approached the king unsummoned could be put to death, unless he raised his golden scepter. Then Mordecai sent this answer, "Do not imagine that you alone will escape, and who knows whether you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" And Esther resolved, "Gather the Jews," she said, "and fast for me 3 days and 3 nights. Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish." On the 3rd day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court before the throne. The king saw her and held out the golden scepter, and she invited the king and Haman to a banquet she had prepared. Haman went out that day full of joy, yet burning still at the sight of Mordecai. So he built a towering gallows and planned at dawn to ask the king for Mordecai's death upon it. But that night the king could not sleep. He called for the chronicles to be read, and heard how Mordecai had once saved his life and had never been rewarded, and he resolved that Mordecai must be honored. At Esther's banquet the king asked her wish, and she fell before him. "Spare my life and the life of my people, for we have been sold to be destroyed." "And who has done this?" the king demanded. "This wicked Haman," she said. The king rose in wrath, and Haman was hanged upon the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. A new decree went out granting the Jews the right to defend themselves, and they were delivered, and their sorrow turned to joy. Mordecai was raised to honor beside the throne, and the Jews established the Feast of Purim, to remember forever the day they were saved. Esther's story reminds us that God can place us exactly where we are needed for such a time as this. If this story moved you, subscribe to Scripture and Flame, where we bring the Bible to life, one story at a time. And tell me below, where has God placed you for such a time as this? Thank you for watching.